Welcome back. Let's put some of this right triangle trigonometry into play with a couple more examples. And notice they're not giving us any sort of special angles. So this is strictly calculated based on knowing the relationships of the sides of the triangle to help us figure out sine, cosines, cotangents, and so on. So for this first example, 14 they call it, it's asking us to evaluate sine of alpha, cosine of alpha, and cotangent of alpha. And just keeping in mind what alpha is, that is this angle right here. So we're going to use some right triangle relationships. Sine of alpha. Remember, we are looking at the side that's opposite of alpha over the hypotenuse of the triangle. So if you look at the side that's opposite alpha, that is 36. And the hypotenuse is the side that's opposite the right angle. We have 36 over 85. And that's usually good enough as far as ratios are concerned. If you'd like, you can see if the fraction reduces in your calculator, but it does not. So let's just leave it in ratio form. Let's take a look at cosine of alpha. According to right triangle relationships, cosine of alpha is adjacent over hypotenuse. So in this case, let's look at the side adjacent to alpha. That would be 77. And the hypotenuse, it's the side across from the right angle, is 85. And again, of course, if you're interested, you can plug this into your calculator to see if there's any reducing that's possible, but there isn't, so we're good to go. And finally, we'll take a look at cotangent of alpha. And according to the relationships, cotangent of alpha is adjacent over opposite. So again, if we're looking at alpha, I know it's situated a little bit differently. The side adjacent to alpha is 77. And the side opposite of alpha is 36. Once again, feel free if you want to see if this has any common factors that reduce. But in this case, the ratio is 77 over 36. So hopefully that helps you understand the relationship of sides of the triangle in relationship to its angle and calculating the trig functions. We'll take this a little bit more of an application, moving on to example 15. And they're asking us to find the distance AB across the river if AC is given as 72 feet and the angle C is 35 degrees. So let's take a look at that. We have 35 degrees as angle C. So what you'd like to do is you have to find a trig function that is going to help you deal with the side opposite of 35. See if I can write that in for you. So the side opposite of 35 and the side that's adjacent to 35. We don't know the distance across the river. Again, we can call it AB, or if you want to call it a single letter, that's fine. So let's think about it. Trig function that deals with opposite and adjacent. We have our choices. One thing that does come to mind, opposite over adjacent, that is the tangent of 35. You could have also used the cotangent of 35 degrees if you say adjacent over opposite, but a lot of times tangent's more, more convenient for us. So let's replace this one more time. Let me see if I can help myself. I have tangent of 35 degrees. I do not know what the opposite side is. That's what I'm trying to find. but I do know that the adjacent side is 72. So in this case, we'd have to use a little algebra. And if you multiply both sides by 72, you will then get 72 times tangent of 35 degrees is equal to the distance AB. So in this case, I would pull out my calculator. Let's see if I can pull that up for you all. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time. A little smart view coming along our way. And with the calculator, I may need to move the viewing window just a little bit so that you could all see what's showing up. I'll keep it the same. What I want to do is look at what is 72 times tangent of 35 degrees. But before I do that, I need to make sure what my mode is in degree mode as opposed to radian. So notice right now my degree mode is in radian. I need to change it to degree. So I press enter. I'm good to go. I'm going to press second mode to quit out. And I'll use the calculation 72 tangent of 35 degrees. And I know it's cutting off the window. I see if I can move it over just a little bit. There we go. And notice that the tangent button is right under the VAR, or right next to the caret. And we do have ourselves approximation. So we have 72 tangent of 35. So let's just double check what kind of units they want it in, or do they want us to round? But right now I see about 50.41 or so. Let's go back. And there is no specification. So let's do this. I do have AB is approximately equal to 50.41 we said. And since we're in terms of feet, we have our distance. So I have an approximation going on. Sometimes if they're talking about significant digits or significant figures, sometimes people might say, oh, if you notice that the AC is in terms of 72 feet, you can then round to the nearest foot. But there was no specification, but I suppose, depending on directions, you could have rounded to 50 feet if they were using significant figures or digits. Like I said, when we have a realistic situation, they'll usually give us more details. But if they don't, we kind of have some options. So hopefully you see that trig functions are very useful in calculating different things as opposed to just values. We like to see kind of a lot of distances when we can relate them to right triangles. I hope this helps. I'll see you in the next example.